So good Shabbos, everyone. I've been very fortunate over the years to be able to invite scholars and rabbis from all over the Jewish world. But tonight, I get to do something I haven't had an opportunity to do, is to bring a close friend from college who's become a lifelong friend, who underwent something last year that changed his life and in many ways changed the many people that loved him. And so tonight, I want to give my friend from Dallas, Scott Bennett, an opportunity to share his story, because I think it's an important story for all of us to hear. So please welcome my friend Scott.
Well, I guess you didn't know that March 8th is officially or unofficially on Rabbi Strauss's calendar, Bring Your Favorite Fraternity Brother to Work Day. I'm the guy. Not only do I get to stand up here where he stands, but I got to sit at his desk today. A lot of jealous people. Thank you guys for having me, and I'm really excited to share a message with you. It's incredible to be here. I've been here over the years for many simchas, and every time I come back, I feel like I want to move to Houston. So thank you. First, I want to open by properly introducing myself. As Brian said, I'm Scott Bennett, and I'm from Dallas. Husband of Lee, who's sitting there, and father of two daughters, Sydney and Lindsay. I'm very blessed to have a long history and very meaningful friendship with your beloved Rabbi Brian, my pledge brother and rabbi on call. I also treasure a wonderful friendship with Lisa. We have been friends for much longer, attending Temple Shalom together in Dallas for many years. I've had a successful career as a sales leader, as well as been an entrepreneur. I've always been involved in a variety of philanthropic organizations, and both Lee and I were central figures in our children's schools, serving as volunteer leaders. From that introduction, you are probably thinking, sounds like this guy is doing pretty good in the world. And you would be absolutely correct. But that is just not how I saw it. You see, 14 months ago, I was battling debilitating depression and anxiety. I could simply not clearly see all the great things in my life. Everything was out of focus. I did not appreciate where I was in my life from many angles. Most importantly, I did not understand my own relationship with Moreshet, or my legacy. I was struggling with what I meant to this world. Maybe you can relate. I was not someone that turned to prayer often, but believe me, I was leaning into it heavily during that time, often reading the Serenity Prayer multiple times a day. I was praying selfishly for peace and health, for peace and health for those that I love in this world, but also in a more selfish and material way. I believed I needed a bigger bank account or a Barbie dream house in Hawaii. God does hear our prayers, not always in the way we want, in a manner we expect, or on our desired timeline. And then, around this time last year, I had a regular visit with my cardiologist and electrocardiologist. These visits were regular because I was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy when I was 28. The cardiologist following me made the recommendation to get an ICD, or an implanted defibrillator. This was because 9 years earlier, my father was a heart transplant recipient in 1999. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy was a paternal genetic marker in our family. While I didn't have symptoms for many years, they made the decision to prophylactically utilize technology just in the event I may experience symptoms of an irregular heart rhythm. In 2014, as my doctors had suspected, I began to endure regular episodes of ventricular tachycardia. My ICD would shock my heart back into rhythm. It would successfully restore proper heart function, but it was beyond unpleasant, violently stimulating my heart back into normal sinus rhythm. It would do it often for the last 10 years, and it was unpleasant and scary each time. As a result of the close monitoring of my heart, my medical team decided to schedule a cardiac ablation to remove faulty electrical activity. That procedure was scheduled for April 19th. The weekend before that, I was at a lake house with some friends, and let's just say that afternoon, my life changed forever. My ICD was consistently shocking my heart, but my heart was not responding. It went off 13 times in a matter of minutes, and I was 100 miles north of Dallas in a lake community on a guy's weekend. Not a place you want to be in the midst of a cardiac emergency. The entire episode was terrifying, to say the least. It was touch and go. There were points at which I thought I was seeing the end of my life right before my eyes. The next several days, after being care flighted back to Dallas, I was closely monitored while waiting to proceed with that scheduled ablation 6 weeks earlier. The night before that procedure, I once again had a significant episode of VTAC in the room in front of my wife, Lee. I don't remember any of those days anymore. As a result, I had to be placed in a medically induced coma. They still went forward with that procedure, but I was not able to come off the ventilator. So they left me sedated and weighed the options. They decided it was best to rapidly move to get me on the list for transplant. There were so many moving parts, and time was not on our side. I was in very bad shape, in desperate need of a heart immediately. An alternative was a machine to pump blood, and you can't survive very long depending on that for circulation through the body. My family, my community, and everybody that knew my situation were praying for me. God was, in fact, listening to my prayers and those prayers, and did answer 315 days ago. I woke up to find out I had received a life-saving heart transplant. It was not something that was planned. I had no idea 13 days earlier that this was going to be my story. Days after coming to realize that this was my reality, and as I sat in the quiet of the hospital room, a profound truth struck me. Every day counts. It wasn't really the first time to receive this reminder in my life, though. You see, my mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was in high school, and she lived 12 years battling every day to lead a somewhat normal life. And as I told you, my father, like me, had a heart transplant 24 years before me. That is so rare. 2 people in a single family both receiving a heart transplant, a father and a son. So it wasn't as if I needed a reminder, but this time it was my life, my battle, my journey that drove me to consider the reality and real possibility that not every day is promised. When the steady rhythm of our hearts is threatened, what truly matters rushes to the forefront: the loving embrace of family, the experience of a lifetime, the partnership of a spouse, and the camaraderie of friends. It is in these moments we question our impact and legacy we're building. But if I'm being honest, 14 months ago, I didn't really think very much about my legacy. In fact, I didn't want to think about my legacy at all. I was not in a place where I felt good about my life, my accomplishments. I had an amazing wife, incredible daughters, a warm and wonderful home, a job, a solid Jewish community, and hundreds of friends. I had done so many things and been blessed. I had been an entrepreneur and created an amazing business. I had been a significant fundraiser for many charities. I had served on boards and started movements. I was active in so many ways, but I was empty when I thought about my legacy. My brush with mortality was not merely a scare, it was an awakening. I realized that we all engage in the relentless chase of achievements, milestones, and the next big thing. But as Solomon lamented, it's like chasing the wind, an endless pursuit with empty hands. Considering this, I want to be very explicit about my core message. Count every day. Not merely as time ticking on a clock or the next day on a calendar, but as opportunities to craft a legacy. A legacy that is meaningful and represents a life well lived. You can do this by simply recognizing your unique role. Jeremiah reminds us of our intentional design. We are fearfully and wonderfully made for a unique impact. Like Noah and Moses, your life has a divine placement and purpose. What you do today shapes your enduring legacy. And seize the opportunity to cultivate a life-giving legacy. The Abrahamic covenant was about being a blessing, bringing life and hope to others. Your legacy is love, faith, inspiration you impart. It's less about monuments of stone and more about moments that matter. How can you inspire your coworker? How can you give hope to your children? How can you bring joy to a room? What does it look like to be a mensch using all of the gifts and talents that God has given you? You see, my superpower is helping people. My power is to help them go farther, faster. I help them see what they can achieve. I help them live life fully and help them get out of their own way. I love to see people win. What's your superpower? What do people feel when you give it to them? I know each of us has one, although sometimes we don't see it or want to brag about it. But believe me, it exists in each of us. And while we're considering the idea of giving, my generous donor was a young man named Cody Richardson. I won't share his tragic story or details of his horrific death. However, I can tell you that Cody Richardson never really had a chance from birth. Based on what I learned about him, he was never shown what it feels like to be loved properly in his youth. He was abused, troubled, and struggled all of his life. Like me 14 months ago, Cody did not think he had much of a legacy. But Cody had a healthy physical body. While circumstances sadly left him with no brain function, he was able to donate 8 organs and tissue, saving many lives, including mine. Reminding me of the heart beating in my body right now before you. As a result of the beauty and generosity that is organ donation, Cody definitely has a very significant legacy that lives on in so many individuals. His treasured gifts are more valuable than any fancy car or luxury home and will impact and create so many more exponential living legacies. Think about that. You see, you don't have to give a heart to change a life. You can give faith, inspiration, hope, generosity, love, encouragement, and joy to help people around you live more fully. And you don't need to receive a life-saving organ transplant, defeat cancer, or survive a car accident to recognize the unlimited potential and possibility that comes with another day. My new heart came from a life marked by struggle and lacking in nurturing love, ended with sharing a profound gift, which I have. This man's legacy is not defined by his hardships, but rather by the life that he has given to others. I know what it means to me. His gift compels me to live with gratitude and purpose and to find perfection in every day. It is a good day because it is, in fact, another day. I can always find something great about it, and that's why I have traded in the Serenity Prayer for Modeh Ani. As we usher in another wonderful Shabbat together, I'm giving each of you a simple tally counter when you leave. A clicker. Let it be a daily nudge to ask yourself, how do I count this day? Let it inspire you to pursue your unique calling God has placed on your life and to embrace each day as a precious chance to leave a mark and make an impact. As you enjoy the meaningful hours of Shabbat, maybe take a few minutes to think about what legacy means to you. What is your relationship with it, and how might you shape yours? Do you need to make changes? Or do you just need to continue doing as you do every day, simply being a good person and seeing opportunities to do mitzvot? You have probably heard it before. We are not promised tomorrow, but we are given today. Let's not let the sun set on a single day without having made it count, without having moved one step closer to the legacy we wish to leave. My wish for each of you is that you continue your own individual journeys. You might consider my story, Cody's story, and remember to count every day, intentionally finding opportunities to add to your own precious legacy, your important moreshet. What if each of us, more intentionally, knowing that we are doing it with legacy in focus? Imagine what that would be. That we are more than just another person, but one with so much to give, so much to create, and so much value to add to our world, to our communities, and to our families, and all of those that we love. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Scott, for sharing that fantastic and I think important message. I often joke with Scott over the years that he should become a rabbi. But can I use some of that for my next sermon? Okay, yeah, you can write my next one. But Scott, that was beautiful, and I think we all saw that evening. I know I saw many of your good friends that are here or maybe watching online that this is definitely a purpose, a gift you have been given to communicate your incredible and inspiring story now with thousands across the world. So we're very blessed to receive that tonight and continue blessings for you and Lee and your daughters as you continue that message of hope and inspiration. Yeshurun. Thank you, Scott, for a beautiful job tonight.